alongside Mr. Brandon K, and this is the Sports Den on Zingo TV, channel 249 and 250. Kindly make sure to download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are free. And one more thing, Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Gentlemen, how we doing? And boy, do we got a lot of stuff.
Wild weekend.
In many fronts. I have a whole litany of things over on the side here. I've got images set up. I got the whole shebang. I don't know what order you want to go into. We can talk World Cup, referees. We've got some deals that happened in Major League Baseball with Japanese imports. We can talk about the biggest come from behind second half victory in NFL history's in there. Obi, you might have some stuff to go into as well, I think possibly. So what do you want to start with?
Let's start. I'd like to start with that comeback, since that's how the weekend started, if you will.
All right. And, I kind of agree with you on that.
So I think I come on this show week in, week out, whenever it is, and show my love for the offensive lineman. Jeff Saturday is one of, if not my favorite football player of all time. I thought he deserved to win the MVP in the Super Bowl, the first, the Indy one. But his time as a coach has to come to an end. I cannot blame players for that. You can't put your players in a position to lose that kind of lead. That is on Jeff Saturday, and it hurts. I mean, that's probably the best thing that happened to Matt Ryan all day up on that screen. So,
Ryan didn't have a bad day. I mean, what was it? 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's not terrible. I mean, his passing yards weren't great, but you still, at the end of the day, you still put up 36 points. So you can't really put it on the offense when you put that kind of numbers up.
Yeah, I think when you get that many points and there comes a time when, if you look at the game script, if you had just run the ball for 1 yard into the line of scrimmage and let the 45-second clock run out every play, you would have been better off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I put this on Jeff Saturday. I put the Super Bowl a lot on the coaches as well, although Ryan did have a sack fumble that he probably could have avoided. But yeah, these kind of games, these kind of comebacks, as much as it takes everything to go wrong, but really that's where a coach has to prove that they're a good coach.
Or even an adequate coach.
I just have a question, though.
Please.
To Obi. Who was the coach of the Colts when they went up 33-0?
Going up, scoring 33 points is great. Then in the first half, then you should have scored 66. Because however he decided to maintain that lead didn't work. And I understand he was the one who got him up that much. But that's where you have to find a way to keep your guys engaged as the coach. That's on the coaching. Making calls that take advantage of your best friend when you're up 33-0, which is the clock. Those things fall on the coach and managing that entire situation. He got them halfway there. And you can say that about any game that anybody blows in any situation. But a large lead in football, I think that's one of those places where coaches truly earn their money. And you usually don't see it, right? Because most coaches don't blow them. But when a big lead like that gets blown, I think it falls on the coach more than any player.
My question.
And like I said,
go ahead.
Jeff Saturday, one of my all-time, if not my all-time favorite football player, amazing ball player. So It hurts me to say that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Matt Ryan, I got the official stat, 19 for 33, 182, 1 touchdown. But at the same time, he didn't really have to put up a lot in the second half, really, because when you're up at this point 33-0 in the first half, you can pretty much turn it over to the running game. But, like I said, if you see the numbers at the top there, all Indy in the first half, all Minnesota in the second half. It's sad, but you look at Matt Ryan, you look at what's happened to him in his career. And this is a big question I really want to ask you guys. We had this conversation once before about him when he left Atlanta, about the question about whether he's Hall of Fame worthy. And I'm going to pull up a couple of stats for you because I want to see how you guys feel about it. Because he's put up statistically really good numbers for his career. Oop, fix that right there. And I wanted to see how you guys think about this, whether or not actually it would make sense to actually try and get him to come in, and whether he's worthy of that kind of an honor. Let me zoom this out a little bit. Because if you look at the numbers here, this is the all-time passing numbers. He is currently 7th per ESPN in this particular case. He is going to very likely pass Phillip Rivers this season. He's got an outshot shot of actually passing Ben Roethlisberger for 5th all-time right now. Brett Favre, probably not, but he could break Phillip Rivers probably the next couple of weeks. And if he has a good rest of the season, has the possibility of going 5th all-time in passing yards. What do you think?
So I think, number one, I remember us having this conversation when Phillip Rivers was still ahead of Roethlisberger, and I'm saying, well, Roethlisberger's going to pass him. And by the time you get your eligibility, are you still in the top 5? Are you still in the top 10?
Mm-hmm.
And now it gets even more complicated because now you're adding an extra game every season. So these things are obviously very fluid. It is. I am kind of on we let too many quarterbacks into the Hall of Fame anyway.
Mm-hmm.
He's right on the cusp. Like, he has some really bad things that have gone on with him, and he's had some great seasons as well. To me, he's right on the cusp, and it's going to might matter where he ends up when all is said and done for his career, and other guys have those extra games and where they end up, how I'll feel about him the year he's eligible.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brandon, please.
I would have a hard time putting Matt Ryan in. Like, if I'm walking down the hall, let's just say walking down and looking at all the quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame, and I see Matt Ryan, my first reaction would be like, you know what I mean? Like, it really is hesitant. So and if I had the option to vote, I probably would pick no. But like, he would be like the best to like not make. Like, he would be in that tier of quarterbacks. I feel like I wouldn't be mad if he were voted in, but I would be surprised if he was when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
I am. He is one of those borderline cases at best. I think the only way he's going to be in the Hall of Fame is having his name on the receiving end of the 2 worst comebacks in NFL history.
So
it's a combined 61-3 blown lead.
Yeah. It's like he would be a poster child of a Hall of Shame quarterback.
And he will be remembered more for these 2, well, especially the Super Bowl lead blow, more than winning the MVP.
Yeah. Until someone else breaks those really painful records, he's going to be tied to those. Kind of like how Mark Sanchez is tied to the butt fumble. It's like how any of those memorable blunders are remembered. He's going to be on the receiving end of that, unfortunately.
So here's a
the guy is cursed.
The other thing is, he's got more great negative storylines than great positive storylines.
Yes.
And, one of the things I always think about when you look at the start of a football season or throughout the season, you're like, there's only 4 or 5 quarterbacks who you put them on your team and you instantly go playoff team. I mean, right now, I would argue that there's 2 because 2 guys have fallen off and I don't think they're coming back. And 2 guys who I think are going to get there aren't there yet. Matt Ryan was never a guy I was like, he's on my team, I'm going to playoffs. He's on my team, I have a good shot. I'm still going to need a running game or the defense to pick it up. But he was never put him on the team. We're playoff bound. We're probably going to the Super Bowl.
So here's a question. Suppose, hypothetically speaking, they don't blow that lead and they do beat the Patriots and his career, say, ends after 1 year in Indianapolis. Would you be more inclined to say yes because he did get the 1 Super Bowl ring?
Inclination more, yes.
Yes.
But he also wouldn't have left.
But you're not sold. Is what
I don't think he would have. I think he would have retired a Falcon had he won.
Yes.
So I
Absolutely.
think not that
Good
that
point.
switching teams hurts your case, because we've seen guys of every position do that and
Name
still
it
be in the
Montana,
Hall of Fame.
Peyton Manning.
It's just
Mm.
it leans more towards the whole kind of narrative of his career. And I think for every player that needs to be looked at a little bit differently, because every player's situation is different. But as is, it's tough for me to give it the go.
Sure.
I put Matt Ryan in this group with Phillip Rivers, with
Tony Romo.
some other guys, and you'll all have your own names of who are there, who are really good quarterbacks or NFL quarterbacks, deserve to start every year in their career, deserve not to be threatened by their backup. But that doesn't mean you're a Hall of Famer. The one guy who's like that, who I think deserves the Hall of Fame, has a below 500 career record, but he won 2 Super Bowls, and that's Eli, and it's the 2 Super Bowls. Like, that's and he's in that same tier. He should have been a starter every year. There was no, this guy shouldn't start for your team. The backups, no. He's an
But
NFL
it's not
quarterback.
it's not only the Super Bowls. He has moments. He has those passes, regardless of if you want to say the luckiness of the helmet catch. That second pass to Mario Manningham in the second Super Bowl. That come on.
Right.
I mean, even the escapability to make the David Tyree throw. That whole escaping the jersey pull, moving out of the pocket, like he created the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Matt Ryan doesn't have those moments, at least not on the big stage.
Hall of Fame in any sport is built on moments. Joe Namath is in the Hall of Fame because of a moment. He was not the MVP of that game by any stretch.
No, he was not.
There are moments and careers.
Yes.
You need something of a combination of both.
I mean, just to clarify, Obi, because you're talking about my guy here. Eli did not have a sub 500 record. He had a 500 record, so technically he did not have a losing record. He didn't have a winning record.
Apologies. That's
okay.
Right. He had that.
Hey,
apologies.
You know what? We never would know if he started the Geno Smith game. That never happened.
Yeah,
that one game,
that, by the way,
could it have been over or under? I mean,
Brandon,
that could have changed the whole.
Who decided to start Geno Smith that day?
Oh, that's my guy, Ben McAdoofus.
Just waiting for it. But yeah, it was funny because with Eli, he also played on some really terrible teams. Where I was looking today, and you guys know this. Obi, I sent you the video. Today is the 12-year anniversary of Miracle of the Meadowlands 2, where the Eagles came back from 21 points down in the at 7:43 left in the game to tie the game up, and then have Deshaun Jackson run a 65-yard punt back for a touchdown. Broke my heart. I listened to the radio call of that in just sheer disbelief. But in this game, he still threw 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and had a better game than Michael Vick. But you put up, in this case, 31 points, and you still lose anyway, because that's unfortunately how sometimes things go. And yesterday being an example of that, the Colts over the weekend, the Colts put up 36 points, and then just nothing came out of it.
And back to that game, that was, before the kick, the TV announcer's like, "Oh, there's no way this ball's going to Deshaun Watson. You can't take that chance, right?" Bad coaching causes these like you always have to make the decision where this ball goes over there. This guy, you don't give him a chance to do that, but it goes to that. I have a question for you, Scott. Which was, in your mind, a bigger heartbreak? And I think you're going to choose the punt return we just talked about. And I may get the details of this other one wrong, but it was a Giants-Eagle game. It was a defensive, ugly game, and Michael Westbrook did a very similar thing to the Giants, which, by the way, I think turned both teams' seasons around. I always thought, like, you talk about moments. That was a moment that turned the Eagles season around. But do you remember that punt as well, that punt return? I don't remember the touchdown or just like a 50 or 60-yard return.
I do remember that one. Yeah, the Westbrook one can't hold a candle, I don't think. Because in this case here, that loss is the big reason why the Giants missed the playoffs that year too.
Yes.
They had it they had it nearly locked down in a must-win game between both teams, because both teams at the time were 9-4. So they're going head-to-head, and you blow a lead like that close, and it derails the limited amount of season that you have left. Having it done at home in December, raucous crowd, division rival, New Jersey Turnpike rival, and to lose like that, and to have Deshaun Watson or Deshaun Jackson, sorry, come down and then just run parallel to the end zone, half to burn off the rest of the clock, half to just revel in the moment, and then finally going in there. And Joe Buck put it best when he was, if you listen to it, he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And that's pretty much what summed it up. Although a Giant Nation probably throw an F-bomb in the middle of that. But like I said, I remember I was on the road and I was listening to Bob Papa, and I just how deflated he was in that call. I've tried to find the call since. I can't, but it was just so beyond brutal, and for me, that's the miracle of the Meadowlands that I remember. And when I did that video earlier and I put that thing up, that video was unbridled pain to basically edit because it reminded me so much of what I had to go through 12 years ago.
That call ranks up there with some of the best defeated announcer calls ever. Along with the no. Back in, I'm trying to remember which game it was, but I remember there was an announcer that basically just
Harrelson would have done that.
It sounded. I think it was
Chicago?
Yeah, it was either Chicago or Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically like a last second play, just backbreaker, game losing play.
Well,
speaking of game losing plays,
plays, yes. Brandon, give me a second here.
God, I can't. Oh.
That is.
I wish this play took place years ago. I would have used this as my bar mitzvah video montage. Like, this might be my favorite play ever.
Well, yeah, and in your case, the fact that basically it happened to a team that you straight hated.
But it's not even the play itself and who it involved. It affects my team as well. So I do have that, that skin in the game as well.
Yeah. All right, Brandon.
But that's really that's the bonus.
There.
Oh. First off, that legit might be the most disrespectful stiff arm I've ever seen.
Yeah.
All right,
that's going to be on a poster.
Here's the deal. We can get into the whole, take a knee. Why did you do that? Just go into overtime, play we're not going to talk about this. We're just going to talk about this for a second here. Chandler Jones caught the ball and stiff arm Mac Jones into the ground as if he were offended they share the same last name. Completely steamrolls him.
That's rough.
And trots into the end zone for a game-winning play. And yes, it sends the Patriots to 7-7, tied with the Jets in the wild card standings, still above them with the actual tiebreaker. So like I said, it does. I do have some skin in this game from that standpoint, but my God, I could watch this on replay.
Here's the question.
The reason is it's the most un-Patriots thing to happen to them. And the fact that it happens in such a situation like this against Josh McDaniels, the Patriots, the Belichick tree, the disciples, which he usually owns. I mean, this was poetic justice, and I loved every second of it. I think we got to check that. Is Mac Jones up? I mean, is he still on the ground? Like, God damn,
might have gotten buried.
Jesus.
I will give Jones credit. He got in the way of the play. He tried, but that's what's his name trying to block Ray Lewis. It just did not work.
But see, here's the thing: it wasn't anything he did wrong. 100%. But this picture doesn't really do Mac Jones justice. I mean, granted, he's just plowed right into the ground. But the lateral that happened, did Jacoby Meyer forget what the score was?
Forgot everything. The score, the time, the zeros on the clock.
He received the first lateral, and I think his mind went blank. Oh no, we are in. Everyone needs. I do believe that's what happened. He gets the ball lateral to
It's
him, I think,
fair.
by
That's fair.
Stevenson, and then he thinks, whatever I thought the situation was, it isn't. We need to score. This is the last play to, like, that's what I think happened. That has happened to me in a sporting situation where I thought one situation was going on. I was right. Somebody did something, and I said, oh, that means something else has gone on. And fortunately, our team still won, and it wasn't as horrible as that. But that does happen. Like, you did the mental math, and then why do you do that?
It's almost like muscle memory in the moment. You see a lateral and you immediately start thinking the next step without logically putting it all together here.
Right.
It's just unconscious reaction.
That's what I think happened to him, and that's why he took responsibility. I think he knew the situation going into the play. The ball got lateral to him, and his brain shut down, and muscle memory is the best thing I can think of. Oh, it's time for backup, which you can – I don't know if that's coaching, not coaching. Like, the first lateral is probably the mistake that sets off the second lateral. And Mac Jones is the winner of it. Like, the best thing that could happen to Mac Jones here is Chandler Jones, his finger gets caught in his face mask and Chandler Jones falls down. And he goes, that is just brutal. That's brutal.
I'm surprised he didn't try and kick him like he did last year to
I think he did try to kick him, and that's why Jones smashed him into the ground. Like, he ain't going to get to kick me. I'm throwing him in the ground. This view doesn't show. He crumpled. He got in the way. Went, rock.
That's just squashed.
Well, here's the thing in this case. Mathematically, they still have a shot. Last year, the Patriots went into the playoffs at 10-7. So who knows? They might have lost in overtime here. They could still pull this off. But they got the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Bills coming up their last 3 games. You're not going to go 3-0 in that kind of situation.
Not 3-0, but none of those games are automatic losses.
Yeah, but you're at a point where you can't have a loss. 9-8 is not going to get it done in this league.
No, but it's
but you're also
it is not a 0% chance.
Yeah, but they're also going to be going up against teams that can't afford a loss either.
Yeah,
and are flat out better than the Patriots.
Yeah. Now the Patriots.
So I don't. Yeah, no, that's not a good recipe for success moving forward the rest of the season. But Jet, man, it just looks personal.
That image is going to be on a poster in someone's room.
It probably already is. It might be on you might have a T-shirt like on Redbubble by now.
It's in their locker room. Absolutely, it's in the.
I got
the Vegas locker room. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Are we sure, Scott?
I got to order one.
Is it going to get us in?
Well, see, 7 losses was kind of the plateau last year. So I'm going. Listen, we've only done a 17 season, or 17 game season once. So last year the Steelers got in at 9-7-1. So that's the lowest level of all the teams. So I'm still believing in my mind that 10-7 can still pull it off. Maybe at some point, maybe this year it'll miss, but I think 10-7 is a feasible goal to get into the playoffs. Now, according to playoffstatus.com, the Patriots, by the way, Brandon, I'm looking right at you. The Patriots' chances at getting into the playoffs now has dropped down to 13%.
Lucky.
Which is, I think, still better than the Jets.
No, it's not.
No?
No.
Because they still have better they still have better Super Bowl odds, which I don't get.
The Jets are currently sitting at 23% to get in, which isn't much better. But I figure basically, given your contempt for all things Patriots and Belichick, the fact that they have an 87% chance of missing the playoffs might have made you happy.
They have Cincy, Miami, Buffalo in that order.
They have the Bengals at home, the Patriots, the Dolphins at home, and then they're playing the Bills on the road.
Well, that Bills game might be a give me.
It might be a garbage game, yes, but still, I mean,
they play. So okay, well, I know Buffalo and Cincy play, I think, in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, with a loss coming from one of those teams, the Patriots are not in a favorable position by any chance. Even with the win yesterday, yes, they are, but like even still, then you still have to go again 3-0 against these last 3 teams, and that's win or loss yesterday. That's really, really, that has to be probably the hardest remaining schedule.
It could be,
if not one of the 2 or 3.
Out of curiosity, who was credited for the interception on that play?
It's considered a Jones gets a credit for fumble recovery.
Fumble recovery, even though it was well in the air and he
It was
caught it.
officially considered a lateral, so it falls into the
Aerial
fumble.
fumble.
Yeah, the most aerial interception fumble probably ever.
That was a straight up pass. That was very ill advised. Even on a flea flick play, you don't do you don't do that.
No, it's a much. Yeah, no, that was I got a total, and who he was throwing it to was also
Right.
like.
On first glance, it didn't look like he was throwing to Mac Jones at all.
He threw back like 20 yards. That was like a 20-yard pass in the wrong direction.
Well, also I think Meyer just doesn't have the experience when it comes to throwing like that. Because a lot of times when you see a wide receiver throw the ball, you can tell they don't have the skill set.
Yeah, well,
that's
Belichick has used Myers for like Wildcats, reverse option where he's thrown the ball. I just don't. I think it really could be just the shock of the situation, not expecting the first lateral from Stevenson. Because Belichick or whoever has to go into that huddle, be like, listen, we just take a knee, run out the clock, we'll go to overtime. But then Stevenson takes off, gets the first down. Fine, take a knee. Then you got the first down, and then
just drop.
But then he just went rogue, and then it was just the domino effect of what happened, topped by the greatest play in NFL history.
A beautiful domino effect.
Well, I'll tell you, as a Jet fan, I do think the butt fumble has been surpassed. If this can get a good name, it will put the butt fumble to rest for a little bit.
The thing with the butt fumble, that happened on a game that everyone was pretty much watching. So while the butt fumble is just
Thanksgiving.
Players run into linemen all the time. It just happened to be in probably the second greatest spotlight for an NFL game that isn't the Super Bowl. So that's why I think the butt fumble is always elevated so high. It was in such a spotlight that everyone remembers it.
We talked before about moments.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. It's like that. That is Matt Sanchez's moment. Unfortunately, it was quite the negative.
Yeah, but I think it's also it's an innocent one that we've talked about that before too.
Oh, absolutely.
This hurts the Patriots more than butt fumble hurts.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry, Brendan.
Absolutely. In a when it comes to like the actual effect, this play is definitely worse than the butt fumble. But in terms of spotlight and knowledge,
and also because the word "butt" is quite literally in there, so all us guys who sit there is like butts.
The other part is this happened the same weekend as what we just discussed, the greatest comeback in NFL history, and of course, and with Matt Ryan at the center of it. So it's like that actually ends up being a larger headline. So it's
it's a larger headline, but
in terms of effect,
in terms of what you can put on TV, you're going to be this play can be put on TV for blooper reels, etc., etc.
Yes.
Whereas, so that part, but yes, I think that the biggest issue that the butt fumble has is it's the butt fumble. Like Scott says, the
word "butt's" in it. It makes you laugh.
Right. If this gets a cool name, Jones on Jones violence, you might get it.
That actually is a good title for this. That's a good caption for this image.
Jones on Jones violence. Then again, could it be the Patriots are still being haunted by the Philly special? It's like they keep trying it and they keep messing it up.
Well, Tom Brady was probably going to get into the playoffs with the worst record he's ever had, but we can talk about that.
The scariest part.
I don't know. You see the way my boy Sam Darnold is playing in Carolina, despite Ben McAdoofus.
Yeah, you credit there. You got to give Ben McAdoo some love there, man. All right, so we got a plethora of things we can still go through. World Cup, refereeing the NFL. Brandon, I know you got some talk about that. Obi, you got some stuff. Also, basically, monster contracts in MLB, and also Japanese imports. So the 5 topics I've got left. We may not get to them all, but gentlemen, what do you want to pick?
Well, we're still in the NFL, so We could do the referees, finish off the NFL,
Yeah,
and then move up to the other football.
Yeah, we're going right with it.
Oh God.
Oh, that's not pass interference at all. Clearly.
Thank you for the piggyback ride.
Exactly.
The he basically did what Chandler Jones did to Mac. He was shoving him onto the ground.
Really?
He was using him to spring vault over Curtis Samuel to block. I mean, like, I don't understand what these refs are doing.
There's less contact in rugby.
And let's also the Terry McLaurin, whether he was in a legal formation or not. This whole thing. It's just another Monday, or if this was a Thursday night game, another Friday where we're talking about officials and controversies rather than the actual gameplay. Because it was an exciting game, albeit it's just we're now talking about these situations here. If I were the NFL, look, I wouldn't let these guys ref another game ever. It's just.
But they're protected by the union, so it's much like Angel Hernandez in MLB.
Oh.
Then what? Then there's got to be some lockout negotiations over this. Why are the refs got to be unionized? You work 17 days a year. You don't need to be unionized.
You have full-time jobs.
You're acting like you're working. You're acting like you get up at 4 a.m. and drop 3 miles into a coal mine and you work for 18 hours a day with no oxygen. Like you work a few hours a day, 17, 18 days a year. You don't need to be unionized. And it's just so ridiculous. I would rather where all these NFL stadiums are, I would rather the league officials go to nearby Foot Lockers, get those employees and have them officiate the game.
You mean like what they did with the replacement refs?
They call it the same game.
Should the Division II guys from the camp come back during that strike?
Oh God, that was.
I was gonna say as bad as the refs have been lately. Would they be considered worse than the replacements that we saw a couple years back?
With the touchdown,
it's like we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. But this one we could complain about because they're supposedly the top of the higher level that they should be, and they still do this crap.
But the fact that the ref on the Terry McLaurin play is telling him that yes, you're good. That's a good spot. While holding the flag, like ready, like he's in a Wild West in a duel, ready to pull his gun out. And he throws it right away. Terry McLaurin takes 2 steps and the flag was thrown. For those that don't know, receivers and players, when they come up to the line of scrimmage, are allowed to ask the refs if they are in a good spot or not. And the ref is supposed to tell them, yes, no, you adjust, whatever. And for the ref to basically rip the rug right out of Terry McLaurin and throw the flag like that is absolutely ridiculous. I can't stand it.
I think that the McLaurin issue is worse than this play. Now you got a perfect screenshot of how bad it was, but this is frozen in time, et cetera, et cetera.
The video is so much worse.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin is right there saying, "Excuse me, am I in a legal position?" To which the guy says, "Yes, you are." Even if he wasn't in a legal position and it was called by the ref on the other side of the field, it would have been a bad call because I went to the guy and said, am I in a legal position? That's a situation that whatever situation the NFL has to affect a ref, they should use. Whatever punishment they have. I'm not going to tell these guys they shouldn't be in unions, whatever. We did see what happens when we used other refs. Union. So good for them. Let their union go. And this is where the NFL say, well, we need ways to prevent this from happening because it looked horrible on the Sunday night game. And it was such a bad situation because as a player, you need to be able to trust those guys. And I don't think the players can trust that guy now going forward. And that's the bigger issue. You expect phone calls, they're human. But that is, am I good? And he's asked him twice, am I good?
Here's the question now. Last night during all of this, on Twitter, which of course, obviously take that for what it's worth, on Twitter, the hashtag NFL is rigged was trending because there's a lot of complaints about this, because at the end of the day, money talks. And because of this and some of the other things that are out there, there's been some questions about whether or not the league is being bought in some ways by certain teams and pushing certain things in different directions. Players have often talked about bad officiating can be the equivalent of an additional player on the opponent's side. So in this case, throwing it out there for funsies, is this a rigged job?
If it was rigged, then we'd be having nothing but Cowboys and Patriots finals every damn year.
Well, we did pretty much have Patriots finals every damn year for a while.
Yeah, but we would also have to see the Cowboys in it constantly, and so
it's been 25 plus years on that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for the NFL product, the getting caught rigged is significantly worse than any two bad teams that you could think of making the Super Bowl, because we will watch two teams that we have no interest in playing the Super Bowl more than any other sport. We'll be like, whatever, let's watch. Where, so
it's the only game.
Right. It's the only game in town that day. So they have some advantage there that they don't need to. And I think some of the storylines that we would have seen play out, like either if it's rigged, it ain't by Vince McMahon. Like, you know what I mean? Like Vince McMahon knows how to make these storylines pop. And there's really some of the best storylines are getting squelched. Now, if there is a team they're going to rig it against right now, though, it is certainly the Washington football team. Like they're like, you ain't winning the game until you sell, right? Like that could be what's happening if you're going to rig it. But
can you rig it? Sorry,
I get so annoyed with this rig talk because it's one thing for people in the NFL offices or league offices. That doesn't matter the league. For business purposes, to maybe want a couple teams to maybe do a little better than others, but that's not rigging. That's just business perspective. It's just like that. But to actually have things put in place to impact things, physically in games, it's hard for me to believe just for that. And because the whole thing where it's like, I hear this all over social media, the NFL is rigged, the NBA is rigged, whatever. All that rig talk, that doesn't explain the physics of how the game is played. Like, that doesn't explain, how are you supposed to rig footballs being dropped or caught? How are you supposed to rig basketballs, and I get you could, make some rims harder than another, but when you go a layup, it doesn't matter the rim or the backboard of the ball. Like a basic layup, it's a layup. Like, you know what I mean? I don't understand that part of how these leagues can affect games and rig games, other than sitting back and saying, I might want, the Packers and the Cowboys to play in the NFC Championship game, and I want the Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes AFC champ. I just that's different.
Jacksonville, Carolina, come on.
Yeah.
Like they would have like they would have had if the NFL that the year where it was Jacksonville, New England, and then the other side you had the Eagles and Minnesota, and there was a picture that showed the four quarterbacks, and it was Brady, Blake Bortles, Case Keenum, and I don't even remember who the Foles.
Foles, yeah.
Foles, of course. If the NFL was rigged, you think they would want that group of four quarterbacks representing one of their 2 or 3 biggest weekends of the season?
Yeah.
And I get that's just one season out of many.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard for me to really buy into this sport, this league across the divisions and conference. It's all rigged. It's hard for me to believe.
Exactly. It's like it's not rigged. You just got some really crappy refs, and you might get the occasional one that might be bought off, but most of it is just the refs are just garbage.
That's just an excuse. Such an excuse.
Fair enough.
Here's the
Oh,
thing.
I hear it.
The other thing is the financial risk of
Mhm.
rigging the league without the players knowing. That
Mhm.
is a powerful enough union that the lawsuits that would come, oh, you cost me. I mean, if you're Matt Ryan, you cost me how much money by rigging that Super Bowl so I lost and endorsed. Like he could be in all the Matt Stafford, endorsements that we see. Like
How
all
about
those
Papa
endorsements.
John? Do you really want to be endorse that product?
Well,
Mhm.
whatever it would be, like those endorsement opportunities that those players would be losing, and enough of them
Mhm.
have enough money to that the class action lawsuit would be worth it by the. So then you're saying the players are involved. Now you have the players, the refs, and the owners involved. And let me tell you, when that many people are involved, the leak that comes out is very solid. Just look at players involved in the Conseco book, right? Like, where is the Conseco book if it's rigged? And then you start going, oh, he's crazy, but facts would, I think, come out. But to Brandon's point, there may be a time when they're like, oh, I really hope that that Brady gets there again. And they said to a ref, and the ref hears it and goes, huh, all right. Oh, roughing the passer. There's an operative.
But right. So how is that? And how is that different from a tech company being like, man, I wish our 8600 laptop sells great this year. It's our best. That's not. It's along that. That's not rigging. That's not like getting into illegal activity, because at that point and things come out and it becomes a legitimate thing. I don't think people understand the fabric of the NFL and how it would crumble.
Mhm.
Like this would become one of the biggest Supreme Court cases in history.
Absolutely.
And it would damage the
And
reputation.
and I and
of
people, that's
multiple
what I'm saying.
sports
People
across
just
the
throw
world,
out,
probably.
oh,
Worldwide.
yeah, it's rigged. It's rigged. Like, really think about what you're saying if you're going to be like, yes, the NFL is rigged. I think it's just an excuse for bad officiating, bad ownership,
Mhm.
terrible play, whatever
For
you're
losers.
trying to make an excuse for. That's what it is. And in this case, it's bad officiating.
Yeah.
Fair.
And if anything, there is way more of a chance that we will be seeing games being rigged and organizations being corrupt as hell in the other type of football that we all know about.
Which is
Well
blatant.
documented. Oh yeah, it's well documented.
Uh,
So yeah, and
Hell,
speaking of which,
they advertise it.
yeah, yeah.
I think I saw we're a criminal sign on one of the side, one of the
Mhm.
sides there. I mean, they're just,
Yep.
that's next level stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, there was a little event that happened this weekend as well in the other football.
Yeah.
As we
they were
a slight event.
Yeah, I think it was
It's
something that
just
was
a little one.
it was in the papers, I think. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
before we get into this, can we point out both how excited and probably how much Fox was sweating? The fact that this game went right up to 1:00 in the afternoon, and they had the Dallas Cowboys going right after that. On one hand, you're like, "Oh, this is great! It's overtime, it's energy, it's excitement." And then, I'm looking at the clock and I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like, "They got about 5 minutes here,
Yeah.
to get this
It was
game
like
done."
12:55.
Yeah, and I was
Ruh-roh.
sitting there, it's like, what are they going to do? And she's like, do you know what they're going to do? I'm like, no, they're probably going to stick with World Cup and probably drop a bunch of F-bombs in the process.
Oh, there would have been. It's like as big as the NFL is. There would have been an absolute riot against them if they cut away from the end of a very, very good, admittedly good World Cup final that
Amazing.
went into penalty kicks.
Yeah.
It's like they cut away from that for a Cowboys game. Yeah,
And
you might get some
Jaguars, by the
happy
way.
people in
Against the
Texas, but
Jags.
yeah, you might get some happy people in Texas for the football game, but everyone else would be like, ah!
Yeah.
So on that note, like happy people in Texas. First of all, I suspect they would have put it on FX1, but there was something I was watching. There was a game I was watching. I guess the other game going to overtime. On Thursday. On Thursday, the overtime game. It said there in local markets what channels to go to watch the Baltimore game. So I'm sure Fox had some sort of plan. Your local Fox station will carry the game.
Kyle, I think you're probably right because the award ceremony for the World Cup was moved over to FS1 to get the Cowboys in. If that game kept going for whatever reason, they might have done the same thing with the Cowboys Jags, and just for whatever that 5 or 10 minutes to buy the time on that. But the way it works out, the way it segued right from the end of one of the greatest World Cup finals right into America's team, Fox was just like, "Oh, thank you, money gods." Praise here on this one.
Granted, they couldn't have timed that one better.
But dude, I mean, I wasn't able to catch it until like the start of the first overtime with the schedule, with things. Well, they were with the way they were at the house. But I mean, you look at this. Messi gets gets 2 goals and the first penalty kick. Mbappe gets a literal hat trick, and it was something like I said. I think 50 years from now, they will still pull from this game and be like, "This was incredible," because this thing was right down to the edge. It was, the comeback on this, Mbappe getting that 3rd goal with the penalty kick, and a lot of World Cups are done in the first 25 minutes. 4 goals, cruise. Argentina, when they beat Croatia, that was just a cruise game. This was not. This was edge your damn seat.
It almost looked like it was going to be a cruise game at first, and then, as you mentioned, but then, Mbappe was like, no, I'm not losing. I'm not giving up right now. He basically did it himself and essentially tied the game once. Then they went behind again in extra time, which I'm sure JD has some words to say about how the game keeps going after the goal.
I was never big on that personally, but yeah. Go ahead.
But and then he comes back with yet another goal, and then it goes off to another penalty kick, which in a tournament of penalty kicks, it seems, it was a very uncharacteristically fantastic match. And not only that, rather than having like a side player being the hero or like a bit player scoring a goal, this one actually had the headliners being headliners on both sides. You couldn't have scripted that better.
Yeah.
Dare I say rigged?
We have our chat, and our chat said 2-0. Oh yeah, I forgot the game's on so early. As did I. But it was 2-0. I was like, oh, okay. So I missed the game. And now I've done nothing but read about this game because I said, 2-0. And I had seen what they did to Croatia. I was like, oh, they got this underhand. They figured out how to play defense. My only complaint, though, in everything I read is I don't need golden goal. But if you're not going to have a golden goal, then you have to have, if you're tied after one overtime period, another whole overtime period. Like, I know these guys are going to be exhausted, and I know that there's substitute issues, and you can start to say, well, if you get the 3 a substitute, whatever, you can change the rules. If you're not going to go golden goal, then why are you going penalty kicks? Because yes, way too many of these games come down to penalty kicks. And I know as I'm learning to like the game more and more and see what's going on the field more and more, I am learning to hate penalty kicks more and more and more. Like literally, let's play a different game. Like the whole home run derby at the end of a baseball game story. It makes more and more sense not to do it this way the more I watch.
Which do you prefer, penalty kicks or ties?
So in the regular season, I'm okay with ties.
Okay.
But I'm also okay in a regular season with if you're doing like hockey where you can go to penalty kicks. So the winner gets 2, the loser gets credited with the tie, but somebody gets the extra point.
Yeah.
In a tournament scenario, you can't have a tie, so just keep full periods or golden goal.
Hockey does it well. I will absolutely agree with that. And I know JD has said his piece on how he hates how soccer plays, but it's like they should pull from hockey in that, goal if it in an extra time or overtime, golden goal, and if it's still tied, then I could understand maybe like a shootout or the penalty kicks or something like that. But yesterday when I was talking with them, I was saying, it's like, okay, we just keep doing extra time until they drop, but every 15 minutes each team loses a player.
Like I said, with hockey, I mean, the fact that they go from 5-on-5 to 3-on-3 makes it very open-ended. What if you had overtime be 7-on-7, which is roughly the same percentage in this case? That would open up the game immensely on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then go and goal again. Please.
I would say
that point. No, finish what you're gonna say, Kyle.
It was more of a joke, but I was gonna say, it's like, if it goes to penalty kicks, have the coaches do it.
Here, or get an idea.
These are the better
really want to shake up.
out there.
We're gonna shake up the extra time here. Completely reverse the sport. Can't use your feet, and you can only run around if you don't have the ball. Throw it and pass it to another guy and move to another spot and move them up and essentially play handball.
Because
That's ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's ultimate frisbee.
No, you know what though? Again, me having the vast knowledge of football that I have, it really was a great game. I did think it would have been more of a defensive effort on both sides, and it was for a little bit, on one side at least. But then it got exciting. It got, I don't know, and it really it felt almost Super Bowl-ish. Like and again, I don't adamantly remember as well 4 years ago, but I feel like we were way more into it this go round this year than we were 4 years ago. Especially with US not being, I mean, we made it to the knockout stage, but we didn't get far, of course. But I felt like our interest kind of was still there for the most part. I mean, obviously there is some drop off when your home nation is out of our tournament as big as this. I just, again, once and even me for really being the non-soccer fan that I am, getting down to the semifinal and the final round of the World Cup, like, I get pulled into it, and it felt like super Bowl-ish.
It felt Final Four, basically.
Yeah, it really, and again, to Kyle's point, with having Messi and Mbappe be the headliners that they were in the performances, I mean, it really was a sporting event that really is one of the greatest ever.
So
OBU, then I got something of my own.
Yeah, so to Brandon's point, I definitely think more people were into it. I think it had to do with Messi. People know who he is, and there were just enough super casual soccer fans who were able to watch it because it was on at the right time, and then watch this guy. And watching him and watching America, you could see, oh yeah, this guy is better than, like, you didn't have to be a super soccer fan to see, oh yeah, this dude is better than any of the dudes I saw on America. So you got it instantly. So Messi, I think, drew Americans who don't watch in, because when you can see a guy is that much better, you want to see what that's all about. I had a friend who I didn't think had ever watched a game of soccer, kept going, is Messi a Jedi? This dude's a Jedi. Like, he was just a non-sports fan. And then you combine it with the time it was on. For the most part, 1 PM, even 7 AM is times when people, especially with the luxury of working from home, you can have the game on and work from home at the same time. And I think that really did propel American soccer viewership up another notch. I think you are sensing something correct, Brandon. I'd love to see the numbers on it, but I feel that I sense that people who were not into sports were watching it, and then the soccer fans were pushing it because it was so exciting, and it was Messi, a name everybody knows, right? I mean, he is more famous than Tom Brady. You've said it a lot of times when you see Brady with international people. He ain't that famous compared to international sports athletes. And this was one of those times. It's like, yeah, we all know this dude. We've all heard this name.
Now, in this case, the way that this transpired, I think it's salvaged in a lot of ways Qatar's handling of a lot of this. I mean, there's the estimation of 450 to 500 to upwards of 5,000 workers that were killed with all the bad PR, the alcohol free, which you have people coming from Ireland or places like that suddenly can't
Germany.
drink. Yeah, thank you. Any part of Europe or the US, and it's like, really, we can't. This was something that it was a lot of complaints about, how the handling of this. Also, because Qatar, believe it or not, is about the size of Connecticut. So if you give an idea of how tiny this country really is, now on the other side of it, you look at how the US is watching all of this. This is, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The way that the US is handling this 4 years from now is absolutely genius. Spread across the entire country, so it doesn't matter what part of the country you're in, there is still something in a quasi-local market for you. Even if you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the World Cup is in your vicinity. I mean, it's going to be a little complicated when it comes to basically 48 down to 16 and all that, but you've been able to attract an audience. A third of a billion people live in the United States across 3,000 miles, 1,000 miles, and then Alaska and Hawaii. You can attract a worldwide audience to this sport and have it in your hometown, in your vicinity. I mean, for us here, I mean, MetLife Stadium is almost walking distance from where I am. Subaru Park for you guys down in Philly. It is. We have this in our backyard. And as a result, it doesn't matter if you're interested in soccer. It doesn't matter if it's Lithuania versus Korea, or sport or teams that you're in countries you can't find on a map necessarily. It's like, holy crap, it's right there. And that adds to the energy and the excitement. A lot of World Cup and soccer fans, football fans, are complaining about the fact that it's going to be 48 teams this year in the upcoming instead of 32. And I get the complaint on that, but I think that can only serve to benefit the U.S. here. And additionally, that's going right up against the Major League Baseball season, and I think it's going to kill it.
I have a
It's
question.
going to do a good job.
With the next World Cup being in the United States, spread out regardless of cities, from a actual soccer standpoint, does that put more pressure on the American team to do well?
Yes.
Absolutely.
100% yes.
I think that the U.S. team will have. So this year, I feel like we were like, okay, we're good. We are probably not better than England, but we should be able to get out of our knockout round. I don't care if we're in a bracket with Argentina, France, England, and Germany. We are going to expect our team to get out into the knockout next year. I don't really care. But to Scott's point about how big it's going to be, a few years back here in Philly area, in Philly, the city proper, the Pope came.
Mm-hmm.
And the level of excitement was craziness. Like, because I am talking people of every religion. Just the Pope is here. I want to take that bite of that atmosphere. I'm going to go see the Pope. You're into no, I don't care about Catholicism. The atmosphere is so intense. I want to take a part. And so when you have a city like Philadelphia, Atlanta, or look, Monterey, Guadalupe, getting all those, you see what kind of tourism it brings. It brings the tourism that they say the Olympics is going to bring, but it really brings it. Those people are going to be living in your bars for 2 days straight, and the excitement level is going to be there. It's going to be, and these cities are going to have wonderful opportunities to have great times. And I'm really looking forward to the Philadelphia games and probably the New York games.
Yeah.
The thing is, so I'm looking at this map, and there's 16 cities?
5,
Here.
6, 7, 8.
Unless
11
my-
in the U.S. and 16 overall.
So that's okay. If there's 48 countries that are now going to be next, what are they going to have? Each pool in its own city,
Something like that. Yeah, I don't remember.
and then dwindle it down. Okay. Well, I think honestly, I think it's great because if you look at the map, especially in kind of the eastern half of the country, for the most part, all of those cities are within 4-5 hour drive tops from people.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, it is accessible to probably about 70% of the country.
Yeah.
So that and all the ticket sales, merch, all the whole nine. That's a vacuum of money. All the different TV deals that they'll have for it throughout that. I think to spread it out the way they did was very ingenious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm actually kind of surprised that Chicago didn't get a spot.
Mm-hmm.
I kept looking when
Houston gets one, Chicago doesn't.
So my guess is Houston and Dallas. Whether it's true or not,
Vegas.
Vegas is too hot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah.
No.
yeah,
You
because
gotta look at
Qatar.
temperature.
Because Qatar, Qatar is
Yeah,
cold.
well,
This is
but
this
that-
is this
LA
is June,
too.
July, by the way. But just to point this out, this will be June and July 2026.
yeah.
So-
So, yeah, I've been in Vegas in July, 120 degrees.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not-
it'll be cold in Miami in the middle of July. Yeah,
I'd say no. I'd say there would be no Vegas because it's more of a regional. Because you got L.A., San Francisco right there.
Mhm.
Chicago, it's the closest other spot is Kansas City,
Yeah.
and that's not nearly as big of a city as Chicago. And
Yeah,
well,
even-
I understand like the Northeast has 3.
yeah. You have.
There's
three
a lot
cities
of people
within
in
a
those in
7-hour
that little
dri-
3 area.
Within an 8-hour drive, you have 3 cities.
Mhm.
So
I was
but I'm
more
surprised
surprised that
Chicago's
Kansas
not there.
City got it over St. So the two things I was looking at is, I agree, Chicago wasn't there. I thought that the further north of Kansas City would get one, and that it was Kansas City, not St. Louis. Like just
Mhm.
like if you said, I'm like, where's St. Louis, Kansas City? But I don't know the
KCFC.
situation around the stadiums, the quality of those soccer stadiums. I do know that from everything Scott says, NYFC plays in the worst stadium, but Subaru Park is gorgeous. So
It is.
I mean, that's just what I've
It's
heard,
stupid for press people, but it's great for the fans.
and that's really what's important here. Yeah, I mean, could you get rid of Miami and put it in Chicago? Would be, I think, the trade.
Miami is too international of a
But
city.
see,
Yeah.
also,
Yeah,
Miami-
exactly.
Miami
has
and Atlanta are
a-
close together too. So when you're starting to basically eliminate some of the teams in there, and you start going to less local hubs, Miami and Atlanta being so close together, it's not as big of a jaunt as say Miami to Chicago.
I wouldn't even put Miami and Atlanta that close together because just looking
Closer
at the
to
map,
Chicago, though. Yeah.
How about
like looking at the
Chicago?
map,
But-
and you got Dallas and Houston, and then you got the Northeast and Seattle and Vancouver, but that's because it's 2 different countries. So I
Mhm.
can understand Seattle and Vancouver, but no, Miami and Atlanta I'd say are far enough apart. But Miami has a very heavy soccer fan population.
Spanish population.
It's
Yeah.
too
Yeah,
international.
yeah.
You're-
Which
Yeah,
I think
international
is-
population. That's it.
Which I
It's
think
too
is happening
international,
also with
yeah,
Houston
right.
and Dallas
It's not
as
Mm,
well.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think Houston should have got it if Dallas had it. But thing is, Kansas City, I think they picked that because they had the bigger stadium.
Mhm.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they're probably going to be playing it in the
Arrowhead.
same stadium
Arrowhead,
where
yeah.
Arrowhead
Most
exactly.
of
Right.
these are NFL stadiums, by the way.
Yeah. I know Philly is going to be played at Lincoln Financial.
MetLife
Instead of-
Stadium here too. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then Foxborough.
Also in
Foxborough's already
Vegas,
the home for the
Yeah,
the Reds
Vegas is
anyway.
really
Vegas
have
has a
to be one.
retractable roof. No,
Yeah, but Vegas is too cramped with other things as
It's
well. I
also a
think, in the
very
winter.
heavy gambling thing. Like there was a reason why there
they're going to
weren't many
gamble
sports.
anyway.
Well,
Especially
nowadays, yes.
In 4
yeah, I know,
years from
especially
now,
if
the
you-
whole country will be.
No, I
legal.
understand that. I understand that now, but there was a reason why Vegas didn't have a official real like big 3 sports team for the
Right,
longest
forever,
time.
forever.
I just think
Yeah.
the international
Nowadays,
aspect of
yes.
it is a huge miss. That's all.
Well,
Well,
I guess
you have LA. LA is close enough to Vegas that it's not that big of a deal.
3 hours
Any-
as the Hangover movie taught us anything.
Exactly.
anyone who comes to America and
Bus.
wants to go to Vegas can get to Vegas for another $120,
Mhm.
right? You can get to
Yeah.
Vegas, just hop on that Frontier Airlines, and you're there for
Mhm.
$120 on the red eye, and you're there.
It's like I feel more bad for any fans in Colorado or Salt Lake FC.
But see, well, yeah, fair.
I was
But
thinking that Salt Lake.
But even basically places like we'll use Boise or like Montana, it's still not that brutal for them. They don't really have professional stuff anyway. They would they have Denver and Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle's not that bad for an event like this for somebody from say Montana.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. Looking at this map, I'm trying
But
to
they-
find like who's the one that has the longest.
Yeah, but you
possible
notice,
distance
though,
between.
they're in places where they have to do the least amount of work. They're not
Mhm.
trying to build anything.
No,
Mhm.
no,
add
Oh, no,
anything.
absolutely.
stadiums are already
They're
there.
just trying to move into play and
Yeah.
get out. That's
This
it.
pick-
This isn't what they usually do, where they have to build this whole
Yeah.
Almost like the
Mhm.
planetary system.
Thousands of
the
people probably get
complex.
killed in the process.
I have a very strong feeling that probably played a lot into why they picked why the three country thing was picked with
Mhm.
basically just it's like all right, we're having this one in North America next year. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
compared to say like the past couple World Cups in areas where that had to basically do like a full infrastructure rebuild, we have that.
Mhm.
Or the U.S. has that, and I think that played a lot into just mainly because of just the sheer backlash the past couple of years. It's like, okay, they're gonna take it easy this time,
Well,
and then
Qatar,
the next year will probably be done in like Egypt or something like that.
yeah, but with Qatar, they had the PR person talking about the migrant workers being killed. It's like death is part of life. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, that's it's like, yeah, that statement isn't gonna go as well as you think it will be, buddy.
And meanwhile, Budweiser's like, okay, they can drink now. We're getting this one
Mhm.
back. Oh yeah, they're gonna make a
Oh
killing.
yeah,
on
no,
that.
To go to Egypt, that won't be the only denial going on.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
This one was flat out a PR. Well, not only is it to get three
It's a
hostings,
human rights. It's a
Yeah,
human
yeah.
rights blunder,
yeah,
and blunder is understated.
yeah.
So.
U.S. has the U.S., Canada, and Mexico have their issues, but that's what went on in Qatar is not necessarily one.
Yeah.
of them.
So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So it's like this one was definitely a PR move, and not only that, now they could say, oh, we tagged 3 countries at once right now. So
One problem I have with this, and this is a big one. If you heard the mantra here in the U.S., it's called soccer. We're gonna have to deal with that shit, for another 4 years.
oh yeah.
Because
Hey.
here's the funny thing: I posted on Reddit just for fun in one of the soccer forums. It's like, football fans outside the U.S. What is your take on the U.S. having a mantra during the World Cup saying it's called soccer? And their response was, "It's stupid, but we're used to the Americans doing stuff like that."
Yeah.
I think if we had a powerhouse of a team and we could have the cockiness to actually say that, sure. But since we don't, I would say we just keep our head down, try and put our best team out there, and hope for the best.
Well, I mean, of course they're used to the Americans doing that. If you do any international travel, you can tell every other American in the restaurant instantaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can. You're like,
can.
boom, huh?
So, all right. I figure basically, Obi, we'll probably start to close it at this point. Obi, I know you had something you wanted to say. Here's the problem that I have. I have literally no idea what you're going to talk about, what you're going to go into with this.
Surprise for us.
But unfortunately, I have no image that I can put with this.
That's
Just put his
okay.
face in the middle of the screen.
I'm not sure we need an image here. So,
Yeah.
what I would like to...
Hang on. Going to open this up to you right
Spotlight.
here. There we go.
Boom. All right. I better have some good things to say.
There we
What
go.
I would
Okay.
like to talk about is how awesome it is that the AFC West sucks. Like, they suck. And all we heard about from our NFC East fans this year was how amazing those guys were going to be. But it's more than that. It is an overvaluation of quarterbacks in the NFL. We talk about this all the time. Should we give them the money? Shouldn't we give them the money? Well, everyone's look at those 4 quarterbacks. They're going to be great. Yeah, tell me about Purdy. The guy was the 3rd quarterback on his team, and now the same face the national media is talking about how amazing he is. How amazing is he? He was the 3rd choice for that coach. So let's start talking about football as the ultimate team sport like we used to when I was growing up. Yes, the quarterback in the NFL may be the most important position if their name is Tom Brady, if their name is Patrick Mahomes, if their name is Josh Allen, who I'm finally giving into and saying is, yes, one of those guys. But if your quarterback's name is Russell Wilson, you need 21 other guys on that team. If your quarterback's name is Dak Prescott, you need 21 other guys on that team. If your quarterback's name is Matt Ryan, you need 21 other guys and the coach on that team. Like, let's acknowledge that quarterback's important, yes. And great quarterbacks are amazing to watch. They do things, they make all the other guys better. But other guys are important too. And the last thing I want to add is we are seeing, and it's exciting to see, a really, truly the new generation of quarterbacks coming in. When Brady retired last year, I thought he knew that the game, he had slowed down, lost the step, that his defense and everything around him had carried him for 2 years. Apparently he didn't know that. And he's still going to make the playoffs because that division is garbage. But I don't put Brady as that guy who's on my team. He's going to make the playoffs anymore. And The other guy who's on that list, Aaron Rodgers, like next year, prove to me that you don't deserve to come off that list, or you come off that list, and we have Mahomes and Allen, and we'll see if anybody else is going to truly put themselves on that list of quarterbacks who I feel are those guys. I mean, Mahomes is that guy.
Where's Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow's on that cusp. He's on that cusp. He can, if he gets to the AFC.
I mean, he's only done what Josh Allen hasn't done and got to a Super Bowl. But
he's only done it once. Like, I won't put you on that list just because you did it once. Because if I'm going to put you on that list because you did it once, I'm putting Hurts on that list today. And I'm not putting Hurts on that list today. Like, you have to do it and do it and do it. And you probably don't make that list until it's too late and you're already starting to come off that list. Like, that's where I stand with that list in my mind. Like, it's got to be a few years in a row. But Josh Allen is at that point now. I've watched him play, and I'm like, oh, this team's just gonna win. The team, he loses, it surprises me more than when he wins in situations where he shouldn't win. So he's made his way onto that list. I agree with the national prognosticators on that one. But Burrow is the guy who, if you ask me, is going to be on that list next. Everyone wanted to put Bobby Herbert on that list, but as soon as Keenan Allen and Mike Williams went down, it was like, I don't know, me playing quarterback. They couldn't win. Those guys
fine. Jamar Chase went down and Burrow still was doing Burrow things.
Exactly. That's why I'm looking at it.
Off a Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah. No. Burrow is the guy who I expect next year to say, and Burrow. Like, if you ask me, but I'm not doing that till he wins another playoff game or two this year. We'll see what it looks like. So that's where I am on that. That's my rant. The AFC West sucks, and I am happy, and just all this other stuff that follows it.
Fair enough, sir. So, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I have. Let's see. I have the logo for that set up too. So I'll work on that.
The thing is, though, I just think the Broncos are really giving the division a bad name. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Chargers are probably going to be a playoff team. The Raiders have terrible coaching issues. And then it's the Broncos, who have terrible coaching issues, but then you have a quarterback who thinks he's still on his previous team. That's kind of a problem.
Yeah. Yes, he has less touchdowns than basketball.
And he's making $250 million over the next 5 years. Bit of a problem.
By the way, just to point out, when the Washington football team, Redskins, whatever you want to call them, back in 2020, made the playoffs, we talked about this before. They were 7-9. It is possible right now that with the Bucs currently at 6-8 and in first place, that they actually could get into the playoffs as the first 6-win team and go 6-11.
Nice.
Mathematically possible, not probably likely, but they can go 7-10 and make it into the playoffs and have the worst record in NFL history for a playoff team.
If they go 6-11, doesn't that mean they lost to one of their to Carolina, and Carolina would be 6-11 and take them?
Okay, but to be fair, yeah, they were 6-11, but either way, 6-11 would get you in.
Okay,
and that's pretty hilarious.
Fair enough. The 6-11 point is well made. Yeah,
and then if you take it all the way out, how many rounds of playoffs is it? Is it 4? In that case, or 3? 3.
Still 3 rounds.
In that case, 4 if you can make it to the Super Bowl.
But I'm saying, say if you win the Super Bowl
from a wild card,
if you go 6-11 and win the Super Bowl, you will win the Super Bowl with an officially losing record of 10-11. Oh God, I will be so happy with that.
West Coast football is garbage,
dude. I would be so happy with something like that. So
that's why I have the Panthers winning the division. Go Sam, I am.
No, you know what? Why not? So listen, it's wide open to anyone. Hell, the Falcons got a shot. With or without Matt Ryan, they're game out of first.
I feel like their real shot went down when the tight end went down. It seems like they have. I'm not positive that it's been 3 games since he went down, but they've lost the last 3 in a row. They were in a position. It was at one point they were tied with Tampa Bay. They had an easier game on the schedule. They lost, and I just have felt like that was the end of that option.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
That's that. I agree. That makes that. Yeah, that's what happened.
Fair.
They just haven't been able to recover.
Yeah, but Detroit could be a great story. Right?
Could be.
It could be a great story. And another quarterback, who was on the garbage heap, who's having a great season because the right pieces are around him, and a coach who just. I just have to ask: am I the only one who loves both Campbell and McDaniel? Like, I just love those guys. They just make me happy every time I see clips of them.
Well, right now the Rams are 4-9, and the Lions are 7-7. So listen, that trade, unless Goff wins the Super Bowl, that trade will always be in favor of the Rams in this case. But it's so funny that the Rams actually may run the risk of having the worst follow-up to a Super Bowl winning season ever. They're on track. They're more than on track for it right now.
Are they going to win another game this year?
I kind of hope not, because right now we have playoffs in the fantasy league, and I think my opponent has Eckler, and forget who he has, but I have 11 points in my on my favorite.
Yeah. Your kicker decided to just keep booting it quite well yesterday. So it's just a matter of hopefully my player decides that he's a football player.
I'm playing you tonight?
Yes, you are.
Whoa,
Cam Akers.
Thing.
Yeah, I got after the abysmal start of Cam Akers, he started playing football again, and I picked him back up.
By the way, you had Josh Allen too. Obi, you talked about Josh Allen. You had Kittle. Yeah, well, yeah, be fair. But Josh Allen put up 52 plus points for you.
He did.
You had somebody else as the other quarterback. I forget who it was, but I did the math on it.
Derek Carr.
And was that?
My other one is Derek Carr.
Okay, Derek Carr, who put up good numbers in his own right, 24, 25 points. But I remember looking at that and thinking to myself, if he started that other quarterback, I'd be winning tonight. Now I'm sitting there rooting for that clock big time.
Yeah, no, it's like it's the story of my season. I always seem to be facing the teams who have the highest scores.
Dude,
same thing happened to me twice against you this season.
We're going to get 150 some points between us, and one of us is going to lose. Meanwhile, somebody out there is going to win like 85 to 82 and move on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Each time I faced you this season, your team exploded for I think like the most points for your team that season and the second most points for your team this season. I bring out the best in your team. What can I say?
And I appreciate that, but let's keep the streak going. Let's go 3-0 in this one here. Sorry, Kyle, you're good, but but all's fair in love and fantasy football.
Oh yeah.
But all right, gentlemen, thank you as always. I appreciate. Next week we'll probably end up talking a little bit about some of the free agency deals, the monster contracts, the albatrosses, and the Japanese deals. Brandon, go ahead. You have something.
Can I kind of tease and segue into that? Have a MLB point to make. Matt Arnold, GM of the Brewers, and Kim N, GM of the Marlins. I just want to let you guys know that free agency has started. You guys are allowed to go after players now and give them some money. I didn't know if you guys got the memo. You were left out of the email chain whatsoever. I'm not no idea. But you guys are good to start doing that, and I would get to it because they are flying off the board.
Yeah. The Marlins, I feel so bad for Don Mattingly. My God. Don Mattingly, Dusty Baker, and Buck Showalter were the three guys I wanted to see win a World Series. One of them at least got it. So
Buck will next year.
What's that?
Mattingly got a ring as a coach on the Yankees in 2009.
No, he was not part of that team.
So he joined the year after, or the year
he left? Was actually there earlier.
Oh, so he left the year before. So basically, it mirrored his career.
Yes, he he came in right after the Yankees, had gone to the World Series, and then departed right before the '90s dynasty. And then when he was bench coach, hitting coach, and all of these kind of things, they would always get knocked out in like the first or second round of the playoffs, like 05, 06, and that whole era. And then when Joe Torre left, Joe Torre brought him to LA. And then groomed him to be the new manager over there. He left there, and then he started having success. So,
I feel for the guy.
Yeah, him and Buck, are just burned in both ways there.
Well, Showalter got burned by Steinbrenner. Absolutely, no. That '96 team was his.
Yes, it was.
That was his team.
You go up 2-0, and then you drop the next three against Seattle like that, and the way they did. But we'll talk about that a little bit. That'll be a Brandon conversation, I think. But gentlemen, anything else? I'm good and golden.
That's it.
Cool. So thank you as always. I appreciate it. We'll be back again. Same bad time, same bad channel. I'm Scott. That's Kyle Krieger. Appreciate it. Obi Spencer. Thank you as always. Brandon, thank you as always. Take care.